Well, I'm a military historian and an Australian historian, so I've written 4 books about Australia's military history and the Anzacs. I think what you'd say is I'm a war nerd. I'm just really fascinated by the story of the Anzacs. So I've spent about 25 years walking in their footsteps and telling their stories to people. So um, uh, most relevant to this conversation, in addition to the books and podcasts and documentaries I do, is that about 18 years ago now, I launched Mat McLachlan Battlefield Tours. And basically, the idea was to take people overseas and walk in the footsteps of the Anzacs. So I've been very privileged to be doing that now for nearly 2 decades. And of all the wonderful things I get to do in the history space, walking the ground with people and showing them where the Anzacs fought is really the most wonderful thing I do. And it's a wonderful thing for every Australian, I think, to engage with that history actually on the ground where it occurred. So I love telling the stories of the Anzacs, and I love getting out there and walking the ground and telling those stories on the ground where it actually occurred. Well, we've done a lot of land tours now for as I said, nearly 20 years, and we've discovered a lot of really interesting places and told a lot of really interesting stories. But the rivers of Europe in particular are something that have just always stood out to me because they define much of this history we talk about. Going back thousands of years, the rivers of Europe have defined where people have lived and where they've fought and where that history has unfolded. And so it's just for a long time now, it's been something I've been interested in, is the fact that by traveling along these rivers, you are engaging with history, whether you mean to or not. And I've done a couple of river cruises, and I was just fascinated that you're really immersed in the history of the region by sailing down these very historic rivers. And so what we've decided to do is organise some group charters in conjunction with AmaWaterways, who is a really wonderful partner, have a fantastic range of ships, a really luxury product, and they have a great reputation. They're a family-owned company just like us as well, so it was a natural partnership. And basically put some of our very talented historians onto those ships and explore the history in detail with dedicated groups. So we're launching 4 cruises in 2027, which will explore this history in detail. So you'll be able to travel with a historian on these cruises and visit some pretty important sites and tell some pretty important stories about history. So we're really excited. It's a really great partnership. It just makes perfect sense. And it's a great way to continue telling the stories of the Anzacs and other people in history in just a really special way. We've concentrated on 4 different itineraries for 2027. So I'll break those down in a little bit of detail. So the first one is Anzac Day, and it's absolutely an iconic trip for Australians to go overseas and be overseas for Anzac Day and stand on that ground where the Anzacs fought and died on the 25th of April. It's just and there's a number of key places you can do that around the world, but one of them that's very special and very close to my heart is the town of Ypres in Belgium. And Ypres is a very, very important Australian battle site from the First World War, and the people there have not forgotten the Anzacs, and they do a wonderful Anzac service on the 25th of April in the town of Ypres under the famous Menin Gate, and it's an incredibly moving experience to be there. So this gives us the opportunity to do an 8-day cruise from Amsterdam to Amsterdam, which spends Anzac Day in Ypres, visiting the Australian battlefields and commemorating that Anzac service under the Menin Gate. So that's the focal point of the voyage, to be there for Anzac Day, but there's some other incredible battlefields in the area. So also on that cruise, we're going to visit Waterloo as well, from the Napoleonic Wars, but also World War II sites in the Netherlands that were made famous in things like Band of Brothers and the movie A Bridge Too Far. So it's a really wonderful opportunity to do the 3 chapters of history in one cruise: Waterloo, World War One, and World War II, with a focus on Anzac Day in out of Ypres. So that's a really special voyage that we're looking forward to. I'll go through the other voyages we've got. So the next one on the schedule would be our D-Day cruise from Paris. So cruising down the Seine, an absolutely gorgeous journey down through the villages and the natural beauty of the Seine River all the way to the coast. But we will be doing that in June 2027 for the anniversary of D-Day, one of the most important World War II events, one of the most important events in history, the Allied invasion of Europe to take France back from the Germans in 1944. And we'll be spending 2 days visiting the D-Day battlefields, both in the British and Canadian sectors, but also the American sector. But we'll be there for the D-Day commemorations on the 6th of June, so the anniversary of D-Day. And again, that's going to be very special. A lot of people come over. A small number of veterans who are still alive will come for that event. There's reenactors there. There's tanks in the streets. There's a lot of things. But being able to pay your respects in those cemeteries actually on the day that fighting occurred is going to be something very, very special. And a lot of people enjoy doing a Seine cruise from Paris. And this is another 8-day cruise. So 8 days from Paris. It's a very popular way to visit this region of northern France from Paris. But being able to combine it with D-Day on that anniversary is something incredibly special. So cruising down to commemorating D-Day, but also enjoying the art and the villages and the wine and the food on a cruise is a really wonderful experience. So that's June 2027. It's a wonderful way to explore France, and being able to combine that with the D-Day history as well is just something really special and unique. You can't do this on other cruises, so we're looking forward to doing that, especially with our historians who really bring this history to life. So that's a really exciting one as well. But the cruise, I should talk about the cruise I'm probably most excited about, is the one that I'm personally escorting. In September 2027, we're doing what we call the Mat McLachlan signature cruise. So I only ever lead personally one tour a year myself. All the other tours are led by my expert historians, but this is the only one I lead personally, which is going to be in 2027 in September. And again, from Amsterdam, an 8-day circuit from Amsterdam to Amsterdam. And we're going to visit 3 key battle sites on that. So we're going to go to some of the ones I mentioned for Anzac Day. We're going to go to Ypres and explore the Ypres salient from World War I. We're going to do a very in-depth tour of Waterloo as well from the Napoleonic Wars, but also 2 days in the World War II battlefields in the Netherlands from Operation Market Garden, a bridge too far. And we're going to be there over the anniversary of that operation from 1944. So again, there'll be commemorations, there'll be reenactors, there'll be an opportunity to really participate in those commemorations. And so it's really the 3 battles cruise, we're calling it: Waterloo, World War I and World War II, all on the same voyage. And that's the only one that I'll be on personally. So if people want to travel with me, that's a wonderful opportunity in September 2027. It's been very popular, the signature cruise, so we're looking forward to that as well. I should mention there's one other cruise we've got that isn't even in Europe, which I should throw in as well, because we're doing something that's very popular, is a Mekong cruise in Vietnam, which we're doing as well, which will tell the story of the Vietnam War. So a little bit removed from the European experience, but still a very popular travel option in Vietnam, Mekong cruise, and traveling with a historian and telling the story of the Vietnam War. And we'll do that's in August 2027. And we're doing an extension at the end of that cruise to go down to the Australian battle sites and to be there at Long Tan, our most famous battlefield, on Vietnam Veterans Day, the anniversary of that battle on the 18th of August. So a little bit of a departure from the Europe sailings, but still a really important one, particularly for those Australians who want to know more about what we did during the Vietnam War. So that's another great one as well. And closer to home, a little bit cheaper as well, and a wonderful way to explore what is really a fascinating area of the world, Cambodia and Vietnam. Very exciting. I think the thing is, I don't think you have to be a real history fan to get the most out of these cruises. We recognise that river cruising is a wonderful holiday option, and that's what this still is. It's not an in-depth lecture tour where you're going to come away having to read textbooks with an exam at the end. We recognise that it's a holiday, and it's a wonderful way to travel. And so the whole experience, the food and the culture and the people you'll meet, the wonderful lifelong friends you'll make, are a really important component of this experience. But in addition, there's a wonderful theme. This is not just sightseeing. We have a wonderful theme, which is really important, and remembering the Anzacs as you cruise along these rivers. So if you're someone who has perhaps a family member who has served, or simply has a respect for what the Anzacs did and want to learn more about it and show your respect by walking in their footsteps, this is a really wonderful way to do it. And we've had lots of people who've booked where perhaps a couple where one person is really interested in the history and perhaps the other one is less so. But then they have the wonderful opportunity to pick and choose what components of the history they want to do. So they can come to the onboard seminars if they want to. They can walk the ground in the footsteps So the Anzacs, or they can do the other wonderful range of shore excursions and cultural activities that Armour offers. So it's really a blending of a wonderful holiday experience in some beautiful parts of the world with an important theme of remembering the Anzacs. So I think for regular river cruise enthusiasts who are looking for something a little bit different, these are some pretty unique voyages that they should certainly check out.